everyone. Welcome to On Deck with Dawson and Dawson. We have a special guest today, Cedric. Cedric is the principal broker and owner of Equity123 Lending. Hey, Cedric, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Kathy. Thanks for allowing me this opportunity. And hopefully at the end of the day, your audience and yourself will pick up a couple of new thoughts and ideas regarding lending.
You know, I have no doubt that that's going to be the case, and I'm taking my notes very carefully here. And I'm sure our listeners are too. So let's start out by asking, what is Equity123 Lending?
Yeah, that's a fair question. So Equity123 Lending is a residential mortgage broker with operations in Washington, Colorado, and California. And we provide funds for, say, a new home buyer, a first-time home buyer, or for that experienced homeowner who wants to buy a second home or an investment property for, retirement purposes, or they want to reduce their mortgage payment through a refinance or pull out funds to be able to consolidate their debts or whatever it might be. Yeah, exactly. It's about Monday. And I guess if you look at it, we are holistically, we fund people's financial goals. And like you said, I happen to be the privilege of being the principal broker and owner of Equity123 Lending.
So exciting. Well, we met each other quite some time ago, and you always impressed me as being a super smart guy, almost the smartest guy in the room, although we won't tell that to everybody else who's in the room. But that's how I felt about you. And so the fact that you're doing lending and that you're doing it in such an unusual way is just super exciting for me. So what makes you different? Like, why would someone want to call you versus somebody else?
Yeah, so Kathy, I have to answer that question every time the phone rings.
I bet.
Let me toss it back to you in the audience and ask the question this way. Kathy, if you found out you had to have your appendix removed, would you go to somebody that had great referrals and 1,000 times they've done it? Or would you go to the guy that said, hey, I got a great commercial on TV and I can save you money?
Yes, that would be a no.
Yeah, absolutely. The reality is, Kathy, I've been doing this for such a long time. In fact, when I started, the prime rate was 21%. And so I've seen so many different types of transactions. And if you ask Siri will tell you that it was probably 1980 that it was 21%. In fact, I've seen so many loans. I've actually wrote the book on loans. In fact, Kathy, I actually did write a book in 1980 and then rewrote the book again in 2002 about lending practices and so on.
And was that title The Mortgage Maze?
The Mortgage Maze. I think you can still get it on Amazon, at this point in time, but I get no royalties.
How appropriate.
But I'll tell you, I think
maze.
I think it is. You have to learn how to maneuver through that maze. But I think I think I can help people that way. And one of the differentiators is, yes, I was on the sales side of the organization doing loans, but I was also an underwriter. And as you know, the underwriter is the person that's behind the curtain that you can never talk to, never see. They don't have a phone. But it's important. They play an important role because what they do is they analyze someone's credit, number one, and they ask the question to themselves, am I the first person to loan money to this individual? Or if they are borrowed money before, have they paid it back, or if there's some delinquencies? And then the second thing we do is we say, okay, if they are good, we take a look at their income, and I'll take a look at their 1120s if they're a corporation. I'll look at their 1040s. I'll look at their rental schedule if they own a lot of rental properties, their W-2, their pay stubs, and I'll ask the question, okay, they had the money, so therefore they pay us on credit, but do they have the money, right? And then the last thing I look at is, well, what if my math is all wrong and everything else like that? Then I take a look at the property and I say, okay, from a property standpoint, what do I have as far as equity goes? Is there enough to cover my loan in that market? So, and I think that's important, Kathy, because that underwriting experience really makes it possible for my referral sources, like my real estate agents and my CFPs and CPAs and bookkeepers and financial planners. They have a comfort knowing that when I'm talking to their client in the first initial interviews, I'm structuring the loan in a way where when we do get it approved, it minimizes the conditions of that approval. Nobody wants to go back and forth and ask for more paper and more documents, right? They just don't want to do that. It's a waste of time. And especially when you're, involved in like a real estate transaction where there could be a couple different, contingencies going on, you can't afford to have that. I think that's the things that I bring to the table and why Equity123 has been successful.
That's exciting. And you mentioned you're in how many states?
We're in 3 states right now, and I have 2 states pending.
What? You're not letting any grass grow underneath those feet, are you? What states are they?
So we are pending in Arizona and Texas.
Okay. And your other states?
Oh, the other states we're in is Washington, Colorado, and California.
Excellent, excellent. Because we want people who need you there.
Yeah, we see a lot of investment properties, people buying properties in
Oh,
Texas. We see a lot of people buying
yeah.
properties, of course, in Arizona, and a
Okay.
lot of folks buying like that Vail, Colorado, nice little,
Oh,
retreat.
sure. That would be great. That's excellent. So what are your clients like that work with you?
Yeah, so you know what? So I've already shared with you a little bit about the different types of clients that we see. Number
Yeah.
one are homeowners, whether it's a first-time homeowner or an ongoing experienced home buyer.
Right.
We've talked about the people that are looking to refinance their funds or improve their
Yeah.
cash flow or just lower the
Yeah.
rate. I mean, Kathy, 3 or 4 years ago you were paying 4% and you were really happy, and today it's sub 3. So
Yeah.
people are still
I can't
refinancing
imagine
today.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's two other markets that we're beginning to see evolve. One is a direct result of the pandemic. When
Mhm.
you're underwriting a loan, you don't want to see any gaps of employment. Unfortunately, because of the
Oh,
pandemic, many people have lost their jobs. And
oh
so
my gosh, yes.
they're concerned that if they don't get a loan now and pull money out, that money may be very difficult to get out in the future, or it may come at a very high cost.
I
And so
see.
what we see a lot of people doing is drawing equity out of their home for, let's say, sub 3%, and then putting it into like some kind of an index that might be paying 8 or 13%. And
Right.
then they're basically using their home as a piggy bank. Now, what I'll say in caution is
Mm.
whenever someone approaches me about this, I always tell them, you need to make sure you talk to your financial advisor,
Yeah.
because this is risk. There's reward, but there's risk. So you need to make sure that.
Right.
And then the other market that we're beginning to see right now that we're actually being very proactive against is, let's say you bought a home 4 years ago and you
Right.
didn't put 20% down for your new homeowners.
Okay.
You're required at that point in time to protect the lender's investment by providing mortgage insurance. It doesn't do anything for
Definitely.
you as the homeowner, but it protects the lender in the event that you default or have a challenge. Now, years have gone by, you've been making your monthly payment, and your principal balance is starting to decline while your property value is starting to increase. And while that's happening, you're building the equity that you need to possibly remove the mortgage insurance. Now, the mortgage insurance company is going to call you up and say, hey, I just want to let you know you don't need to pay us anymore. You're in pretty good shape. So most people don't know that they don't need mortgage
Not
insurance
at all.
anymore. So we're out reaching out to those folks. So again,
Nice.
homeowners, purchases,
Okay.
refinances,
Okay.
pandemic lending is what I call it. And then, of course,
Okay.
the mortgage insurance group.
Oh my gosh, you just do
And
it
then if,
all, which is so exciting.
well, and if you throw the experience on the underwriting there, it makes it even more exciting because now we can really kind of formulate the right plan for each of these
Well,
different types of borrowers.
that is so exciting to me because being a person who's had a few home loans and some investment properties, I was always so frustrated by the fact that they didn't understand us and know us when we'd been working with them for years, right? And it was a younger person, no offense, that just didn't really know what they were doing and they were in the process. And oh my gosh, to have someone like you and have a resource for you is amazing. I'm so glad you're on the show because all of our listeners can know where to go. So I have
Well,
one last question for you,
yeah.
Cedric, before we go, and that is, when you're not supporting people with the mortgages, what can we find you doing?
Wow, that it's going to sound like a cliche, but Kathy, I really enjoyed just helping people out. So when I was younger, I was part of the Big Brother program
I
because there's
love
kids
Big
out there.
Brother.
There's kids
Oh,
out there that just need guidance, that have lost their guidance over time. So I love working with them. And as you can tell by my pin and my website and
yes,
so on, I'm
yes.
very much actively involved in Rotary.
Wow.
Rotary. In fact, I'm lined up to be the president of
My
our 70
goodness.
member unit here with the Rotary Club of Irvine. And
That's so exciting.
we're out there doing what we can to support those individuals who have, women who have gone from a bad transition, moving into a better life. We help them with that. We help
Aw.
people who are going through the plight of human trafficking. We're trying to stop that. Polio,
Woo.
homeless individuals, military people who have given so much to us. We do what we can to give back to them. So the list goes on and on and on. So I think for me, one of the most satisfying things is being able to sit across from a homeowner and be able to listen to their issue. And I always start things, Kathy, by saying, we're trying to solve for X.
Yeah.
What is X? Is it
Yes.
lowering your monthly payment? Is it
Right.
trying to buy a home? Is it trying
Right.
to help your son or daughter get their first home?
Yeah.
And that's how it starts. So when you're sitting across the table with somebody and you solve for X, it's the most satisfying feeling that you can get. And I mean, I can go on forever. And then when you get it as a referral and they say, I want you to go talk to somebody else, that's even more satisfying.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I think I just enjoy working with people, and that's why I do what I do.
That's so exciting. Well, I got to say that you have such a unique and refreshed approach to this very old and boring process, right? And something that none of us really want to deal with. We just want the home, we want the loan, we don't want to deal with anything. So you're a one-stop shop underwriter who is an owner now to be able to tell us if we're in the right game or not and how to get in the right game. And if we need to step back a little bit and do some more saving and whatever else you recommend, and then that's okay because we have you all along the way ready to do that loan when it's time, right?
Yeah, and I think you said something really important. That's preparation. A lot of people will go
Mhm.
into like their first time home buyers, especially them, that'll go in there and they'll just start thinking about buying a home, but they haven't laid the ground rules and the groundwork of thinking about it as an underwriter would.
Right,
Why would I loan you $500,000 if you've never owned a home before? You barely have a savings account. Why would I do that? Well,
right,
that's what my job is. My job is to create the structure so that
right,
we can minimize those kind of questions and concerns. And by the way, Kathy, I'll just end by saying the mortgage industry is an incredible industry. It's gotten very cleaned up since the 2008 time period. And it's a lucrative opportunity for people. If anybody out there is interested in learning about the business, maybe trying to see what it would take for them to get involved in the business, I'm more than happy to help them. The skills aren't the issue. You can teach skills and I can teach skills, but you
right.
can't teach heart. And I know that you, of everybody, and all of your listeners have heart. And that's what's going to take to be
Okay.
successful. And I'm here for that.
That's so exciting. Well, I cannot wait to have this go live on our show. I have some people in Colorado. I told you I'm going to hook you up
Yeah.
because they're amazing. And they would see this as such an amazing opportunity to help people and really make a difference in really being growing up in the US, right? Having a home. So
Yeah.
ownership was somewhat aloof, alluding to other people, but the reality is it's not when you talk to Cedric. So, Cedric, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. And we can't wait to see what happens with all our new homeowners and old homeowners who want to get better deals in the marketplace because you're the guy to go
Well,
to.
and I appreciate you, Kathy, and all your folks out there. I appreciate you.
You too, Cedric. Take care.